Hey, welcome to Pilates people. My name is Jenny. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a restorative low back class. Something where if your low back is just feeling tight, maybe a little bit sore, this will be a little bit of like a release and putting some strength back into places that will be supportive. So the props you need, I'm using this squishy ball. That's great. You can also use a small pillow or a rolled up towel, maybe a bolster, anything you have that gets your pelvis a little bit elevated. You'll see where we're going with this. So we're gonna come to lie down, bringing your prop with you. Once you're lying down, you're gonna take a little bit of a lift of your pelvis and scoot that prop right underneath. So it should feel like it's right behind your sacrum. It should feel nice and supportive. It shouldn't feel uncomfortable, and it's not really under your low back. It's really under the bones of your pelvis here. And we're just gonna start by lying down, letting your feet sink into the mat, letting your head and shoulders sink into the mat, maybe closing your eyes, taking your hands onto your belly, and start to breathe into your belly here. So as you inhale, you're allowing your belly to expand open. And then as you exhale, you're allowing your belly to just fall toward your spine. So it's like you're inflating a balloon as you inhale. And then deflating that balloon as you exhale. 2 more just like this, nice and easy, no rush. And if at any point in this series it feels uncomfortable to have your prop under your pelvis, you can get rid of it. You can do this entire thing with your pelvis just resting on the ground. That's totally fine. Now with this breath, we're gonna start to go into a pelvic tilt. So you're gonna inhale and find a little extra arch through your low back. And then exhale, drawing your belly in toward your spine. Allow your low back to move down toward the floor. So we're inhaling to tilt your pelvis away, finding that little arch. And then exhale, tilting your pelvis in toward you, finding that little tuck. If it feels helpful to you, you can keep your hands on your hip bones to kind of feel them moving in and out. Part of the goal here is to let your legs begin to be a bit relaxed and to start to feel your low abs in control of your pelvis. So we're inhaling out. Exhale, drawing in through the front of your body to let your low back move downward. 3 more here. Two more here. One more just like this. And then I want you to settle into center again. So you're not in the arch or the curl, you're kind of level with your pelvis. Take your hands onto those front hip bones, and we're gonna start to tilt the right hip toward the ground a bit, and then back up to the level position, and then tilt your left hip toward the ground a bit, and back up to level. So now we're finding this tilt kind of side to side. Your kneecaps can stay pointing up toward the ceiling. Your shoulders are staying even on the ground. Your ribs can even stay even on the ground. It's a pretty small motion here. Imagine you have a marble in the center of your belly and it's just rolling over to one hip and then rolling over to the other hip. Be as easy as possible through this motion. We're going for maybe 2 more to each side, but you don't have to keep the same pace that I'm doing. Feel free to go slower if you need. 1 more to each side. And then again, we're gonna settle into that center point. Walk your feet all the way together on the floor so they're touching. And we're gonna start to slowly open your knees out to the sides, finding like a butterfly shape with your legs, and then slowly bring your legs back into the center. So now your pelvis is staying steady. There's no more side to side tilts. There's no more front to back tilts. Feel free to keep your hands on your pelvis if that feels like good information. But if you need a little bit of support keeping steady here, your arms can always go down to the floor. That's perfectly fine. For me, it's helpful to keep my hands on my hips, so I'm gonna do that. We're going for just 2 more like this, making it really smooth through your hip joints. 1 more just like this. And then bringing those legs back to center. You can separate your feet slightly so they're back to hip width. Now taking an inhale breath. As you exhale, float just 1 leg into a tabletop position. Inhale to let it all the way back down to the floor. And then exhale, float the other leg. And remember, if you need some balance assistance, arms can go down to the ground. That's great. If you want to feel where your pelvis is and feel that pelvis staying steady, hands come to your hips. Either one is great. We're taking just 1 more to each side. Feel how your low abs can really do the work to control what your legs are doing. And then planting both feet, if they're not already there, bring your arms down to the ground. We're gonna take 1 leg into tabletop, bring the other leg up to meet it. Keep your legs steady there and start to see if you can find your pelvic tilt again. So we're doing a little tuck inward, a little release outward. Exhale as you draw your belly in. Inhale as you release it back out. And notice my legs are staying pretty steady in space. We're not moving our legs around. It's like you're moving your pelvis over the tops of your femur bones here. We are taking just 2 more like this. 1 more like this. And then find that level pelvis 1 more time. Nice and slow. Start to take 1 leg downward into a toe tap. It does not have to go all the way to the floor. Go just as far as you can while keeping ab support. And then lifting back up. And then the other leg. And this is a place where if it feels helpful to take your hands back onto your pelvis, you can. You can even keep your elbows down on the ground to give you that balance support here. Move super slow. And if it feels like your pelvis has to move, that's your stopping point. So it might be even smaller than you're imagining. It might be just halfway, it might be just a few inches. If you're getting all the way to the floor, that's fine too. And you should definitely be feeling some abs happening to support the weight of those legs as they move through space. Check in on your neck, make sure it's long and relaxed. We're doing just 1 more to each side. And then we're gonna keep both legs in that tabletop position. Now we're gonna open your knees and your feet apart from each other as far as you can where your pelvis stays steady, and then bring it back to center. Now you wanna try to avoid that side to side tilt here. So both legs are moving evenly away from that midline. And this tends to get pretty balancy, so just go as slow as you need to go in order to find your abs and stay pretty centered. It might be a tiny bit wobbly, no stress there. We're taking just 2 more. 1 more here. Bringing it all back to center. Lower 1 foot all the way down to the ground. Lower the other foot all the way down to the ground. Now we're gonna take your right leg and stretch it out straight. Your leg is hanging down to the floor here, so it's in contact with the ground. And then hug your other knee in toward your chest. We're just gonna hold and breathe down into your belly. This should start to feel like maybe some stretch through the front of the right hip. Maybe you feel some stretch through the back of the left hip. Either way, you're just gonna hold and breathe. Try to let everything relax into that position so there's as little effort as possible to stay there. 1 more deep breath. And then sliding that right foot back in, lower your left leg, same thing on the other side. Slide the left leg out straight, pull the right knee in, holding it with your hands. Just stay steady there and breathe. Again, letting everything kind of relax as much as it can. One more deep breath in place. And then we're lowering both feet to the ground. Lift your pelvis up. Take your prop out from under your pelvis and just let your hips rest on the ground there. One more thing, we're gonna take your feet into your hands, finding a butterfly position with your legs. So your soles of your feet are touching, your hands are wrapped around your feet, and your knees are hanging open. Here you can let your low back really sink into the ground and see if you can let your thighs and hips relax. So you're really supporting the weight of your legs with your hands now. And I want you to take 3 deep breaths into the back of your ribs, trying to expand your back body into the floor. Let's go for 2 more deep breaths. One more here. And then you can slowly release those feet back down to the ground. Roll onto your side, nice and slow. Use your hands to press yourself up to seated. We are all done for today. Great work. Hopefully your low back feels a little more released, a little more relaxed. See you next time.